Hey guys, so I want to start off with some announcements. What the heck happened to our community? Um, oh, right, I'm not on the community page. Portrait Studio sale is going to be available starting the 1st of October. So it'll open up the night of the 30th. For those who want Portrait Studio, please wait. If you can't wait, I've had a sale from last time I announced it to now. The first time I announced it to now, I just used save 10 on checkout through my website to save 10% on Portrait Studio. But if you want to wait for almost 50%, that's going to start October 1st. It's going to go on for 2 weeks for anyone interested. If you like it and you know people who might benefit from using it, please share it with them. If you can, share it on your social media, promote it if any way. I really appreciate it. The sale isn't going to last more than 2 weeks, and it only happens once a year or twice a year. So it's not something that I don't offer promo codes off sale anymore. It's just way too difficult to constantly generate them and give them out to students and find time to do it. So that's why I hosted just one big sale for everyone. That's why I always host them along with a big update. But we just released the update. It looks beautiful. He made a video for it. Please go watch it on my channel. And currently he is working on a tutorial, a full description tutorial with diagrams and what you want. It's all available in the video he's working on for you guys. And it's just going to describe how to maximize use with Portrait Studio, how to mess around with it, how to make your scenes. He's also going to be showing some of the scenes some of the users have made. Some of our close friends have worked on some finished pieces referencing Portrait Studio to show you how to use it and all that. That's it. So the sale and then the 2 challenges. The main community challenges, which is the Character Integration Environment Challenge, is due on the 25th of October. And the Creepy Creature Challenge is due on the 30th. I'll be giving out a quick brief on the Creepy Creature Challenge, but it is also an example of character and integration, but it's monster and environment integration. So to create the monster in an illustration, you have to build them into their habitat that reflects where they come from. So if it's a bioluminescent creature, they are nocturnal. If it is a heavy modded creature with lots and lots of tank armor on it, it's probably a low moving creature, probably a herbivore, not in need of any fast movement of any kind, so it's not a very agile creature. But the twist is that it's got to be creepy, it's got to be disgusting, it's got to be downright dripping with nasty. Okay, so I want creatures that are all Halloween themed. Try to creep me out, freak me out. I know Antares, our local celebrity, is working on one, and he says that we should all be prepared. So I don't know, you guys. And I will host a quick little poll for the winner for the most creepy creature. I think it'll be really cool if you guys are involved in that vote. There won't be a poll for winners for the environment integration. I will choose the winner. But there will be a poll for community chosen winner for the creepy creature for the Halloween theme. Let's try to keep everything fun and interesting, Halloween theme and all that. Keep things fun, and that's my way. You know how teachers decorate the rooms with Halloweeny stuff? This is my way of decorating our classroom. Anyway, I'm in such a hurry. Alright, so let's get started. Oh yeah, and Patreon. If anyone's interested in giving back to the community, keeping it going, you want to join for educational content as an apprentice or just as a watcher or anything in between, pupil or initiate, you can join Patreon and help give back, and you always get something back as well. So let's get started. Okay, dokie. So lots of 14D challenge graduates. So I'm going to start off with the first one, which is so beautiful. This one, which is so beautiful, makes me want to cry. The face is just, gosh, it's like I know this person. It almost looks like the Acura girl, but without the freaky large eyes. The one that is about to, did it already come out? The problem with it, though, is that it's just a little too much contrast going on. The thing is, core shadows are going to haunt you for the rest of your life. Core shadows are always going to give you some trouble. Alright, so the cast shadows are just a bit too dark. You're not really showing me off any, you're not really showing off your radial shading. You're not showing off what you can do with seamless motion of like the connecting features together. You're not really showing any of that stuff off. So the face moving into the nostril, or the lips, upper lips kind of merging with the face. A little bit too much bounce light on the upper lips. It's almost like she has lots of lipstick on, or lip gloss. So I'm just getting rid of some of that contrast there. It's a bit too much. The whites in the eyes are a bit strong, so what I'm going to do is just use them to bring down some of that value sharing on the sides of the nose. The bridge of the nose isn't really detectable in that now you're kind of just sliding it in. When we give our edges a chance to reveal the contrast used in an area, they will show you that you actually used way too much shadow. This is after I lightened it. So let me just go back to before I lightened it so you can see. Right, this is me using the face value for the cheeks that are perfectly exposed to the light. Just look at what you did. Look at how intense that is. That is a bit too much, my friend. And then the sides of the temples don't have a dedicated edge. That's too much. Right, this is your value work. And then the whites of the face are just too white altogether. So I'm going to start off with those, darken those just a little bit so she doesn't look like she's glowing. And then I'm going to use my blocking brush to lighten the sides of the nose. A beautiful job. I feel like I know them. This is what I mean by organic beauty. She's not perfectly, she doesn't look like a Caucasian Barbie doll. Nothing wrong with Caucasian, but everyone seems to draw these very, very generalized features. I feel like she's somewhere from the Middle East, or, you know, she looks very pretty. Like a Spanish princess. Alright. I'm going to raise the value of the nose bridge a little bit higher so that we can, again, try to recreate this elevation in the nose without depending on the sides being so dark. And that's what I mean by contrast dependency. Contrast dependency is just a really advanced stage of line dependency. So contrast dependency and line dependency are two sides of the same coin. Write that back. Then your cast shadow from your nose is a little bit too sharp. The sharper it is, the darker it is. The fuzzier it is, the lighter it is. So there's no transition for the nose tip here, even though everything else seems pretty soft. And then the nostril holes are just so tiny. And I think you're depending way too much on your bounce light, buddy. I know you like your bounce light, and bounce light is all fun and stuff, but be careful with that. It might flatten your work a little bit. So I enlarge the nostril holes a little bit. I might work on the septum some more in a second. And I'm blending this out because this technically is the face moving up. There's no, look at this edge. What is that? What is this edge here? That's all supposed to be radial. That is the face sliding up into the nose. Where'd that edge come from? Did it just suddenly happen? Is there like a hole right there? And we can see like the sinuses and stuff? That's not possible. You're missing the little dip right in here. Just like that. And I'm just gonna correct this excessive bounce light. Okay, take it easy with that bounce light. It doesn't just make things go away. It doesn't make problems go away. Core shadows are a good thing for your work. So I'm just getting rid of some of that. And if you feel like the septum wasn't visible, that's because you didn't cast a shadow under it. The septum has its own little cast shadow. So with that cast shadow and the bounce light, that's just too much going on. So I'm getting rid of that excessive bounce light there. I think you need more work on noses, specifically focusing on noses. Then moving on into the eyes, there's just too much light on the lower eyelid. Feels like you used dodge tool and it kind of just bled out into everything else. The corners of the eyes are under the blanket and this like umbrella shadow of the lashes, but the corners of the eyes, the water line is completely lit up. That's not possible. It's usually the farthest part and the most forward part of the water line is what's lit up. And there's the core shadow of the eyes, way too strong. Core shadow of the eyebrows, sorry, way too strong and way too sharp. You don't have any connecting shadow for the edge of the eye, for the brow, and you're not really merging it up into the temple. This whole area casts a shadow because it's just one big bump out. The lashes do move out and cast their little shadow there. So class might be a bit short today. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm in such a hurry. And then the eye socket. Now I've talked about what the eye socket does for an artist and what, you know, what it takes to be really good at these. You have to pay attention to that tiny little detail of radial shading that happens around eye sockets. And be wary of this area. Make sure you're representing it as the fold that it is. A fold that almost turns into a line, and that's why it's so tricky. Alright, and then there's the fact that anything that receives a shadow, a cast shadow on it, if it's bright to begin with, that cast shadow isn't going to get too dark. Alright, and you started the cast shadow of the nose. Look where you started them. You started them at the edge of the nose. They're supposed to be starting where the nose meets the face. This is not where the nose meets the face. The nose meets the face beneath that little crest of the the nostrils. Okay. And then the cast shadow travels up, but we're leaving behind some of that shadow for the Cupid's bow tip. So tiny little details keeping you from perfection. Perfection is what you go for. Perfection is the butter with which you butter your bread. when you're painting realistically, you have to go for that extra little stretch of perfection. You've got a line here, and that's not acceptable. I'd rather a nice radial edge for the lips as they stack than that forced kind of edge here. I'm just going to blur. Anything in shadow does not have edges or sharp edge work. Take it easy with those bounce lights. She's got a very, very strong set of eyes, so they kind of just protrude, so you might have a little crease for the lower eyelid. But it's not as big a crease as the upper eyelid. Just there. Okay. Strengthening the shadow off the lashes down onto the eye. And strengthening with, still zoomed out, that shadow of the eye socket. Well, any hair is oily, so I'm bouncing off some light off that little belt of light that travels on top of the brow bone. The hair reflects some of that light back. And this is that little temple bump. I'm moving up. Now zooming out, I'm going to take care of that contrast in the forehead. This entire forehead area domes inward just like that, for females especially. So you guys want to know what I'm doing today? I'm going to go get a washer and dryer for the first time in my life. First washer and dryer I've ever bought. I am freaking excited. I can't wait for those crispy, clean clothes. I am so sick of these old washer dryers that the landlords give me. I am hella excited, man. I'm just ready to hook that shit up. Sorry. Then the shadow of the temple here kind of doesn't just Instead as a straight line, it kind of picks up. There's like a little M shape off the cheekbones and the temple, just like that. You see that? And blend, blend, blend. Now, she looks like she has an actual beard. So I know I say beard shadow, but I don't actually mean beards. So I need you to there's some gunk on my monitor. I need you to kind of ease up on that. So in order for me to do that, I gotta hide this fella here. So where are you having issues? Well, your cheekbones are a little bit low for a female. She does have cheekbones. So I'm going to give her some cheekbones starting at the ear and moving down. Then I'm going to relieve some of this here, moving up into the cheekbone. So that should clean up the actual beardness of the beard shadow you have. There's also almost always a tiny little mustache, and if it's not a mustache, it's that little dip of shadow before the upper lip actually faces at the light. Okay, it's not really a mustache, sometimes it's a shadow. And then there's the fact that you have a missing extension of the eye socket. It's not always dark circles. The eye socket sometimes goes lower than the eyeball, or the area sinks in, doesn't catch as much light. So you do end up having areas that are really lit up, and those are the areas we can drown in some light, like right here off the cheekbones. A little bit right under for the hydration of the eye. A little bit on the chin, and a bit more on the sides of the nose, because that area can be pretty oily. And then blend, blend, blend. I actually might have time only for one more piece. Okay, as for expression, you're almost giving me a squint here, and I just want to finish it. So try to do some expression studies with this piece exactly. The inside of the waterline right here needs a bit more light. Beautiful face, just wonderful character. Smudgy, fuzzier shadow even towards the nose. I think the nose shadow is still a little bit dark. Lighten. So I'm just gonna lighten the whole nose and then go back to when I did that. And just delete only at the dark spots. Because dark spots are supposed to be the only thing that are black or blackish, but you have a lot of dark values in that area. I'm wondering, you know, where your dark spots are. Are they even allowed to be dark spots? Yeah, way too dark. Look like a little panda nose. I'm letting some of that shadow come through. And I think that was your biggest problem, is that you were depending on that bounce light too much because you were just going too dark for everything around it. Your dark spot wasn't speaking as a dark spot. A little bit of that outline that happens around here and the mouth. And I'm going to finish off with a stronger lower eyelid shadow. And finally, like, I love her gaze, but I just feel like you don't know that she's not looking at the camera. Okay, so it was just that eye that was looking away. Now she's looking directly at me. We might have a little bump above the nose, just a slight one. Scarlett Johansson. And, oh god, so that's why I feel like I knew her. Oh, before that, the tops of the head were too dark. This is a sphere. And I'm just going to get rid of some more of that beard shadow. I'm going to force the neck shadow in a little bit. Okay. Before, after. I'm just going to compare the befores again, just to see if I'm done. light back before. Okay, so a little bit symbolic on that eye area, that under eye area. Value sharing and contrast dependency across the board. Before we've diffused it to make it look a little bit more complete, and then finally brightening up the background a little bit to explain where all that light is coming from. Might be a bit too dark, too light. Before, after. Remember, contrast dependency happens when the area isn't allowing a dark spot to speak. So if you have a way too bright white in the background, if you have too much black in the background, you're interrupting the way you're climbing your dark spots. So contrast happens as a reaction. You don't know you're doing it, but it's happening as a reaction to your lack of a good environment to put a dark spot that speaks. So that's what was happening around the nose. Look at that. All that shadow you had down there. It looked like it was painted in. And that's why you needed too much bounce light to outline the nose, because you were losing the read and you're like, it just looked like a big black triangle. The whole area was too dark. It doesn't have to be that dark. It doesn't change skin tone in a dark spot or in a shadow. Like a cast shadow. And this was there before the person we just saw. So amazing improvement. Congratulations on graduating or nearly graduating. This is a day 1. Okay, and this is day 14. So some of the issues you're having have to do with the face shape. The face shapes, like the features are sharp, and they're starting to look a little bit masculine. So you might be, having that. You're not knowing where it's coming from. Okay, so another problem you're having is the background is too dark or medium tone to the object, which is too light. You're not separating the object from the background. Okay. And then there's the shape in the eyes. The shape in the eyes is just a little bit forced and symbolic. You're kind of having like this upward pinch in the corners instead of them seamlessly moving into a corner to a point together. I'm not sure where the eyes are looking. The squint there shouldn't be there for a 14-day challenge. And the reason why she looks masculine, or he may look feminine, I'm not really sure, I'm just going to go for a female, is that the face was way too strong and the jawline was almost level with the temple line. And for females, to get a female read in your work, you have to make sure you have a jawline that is less wide than the temples. She's got very strong jaws, so be careful with that. And I'll show you the before. The head was almost a complete square, which looked very masculine. Female cheekbones are high, so you gotta really bring in the jawline. Okay, as for your dark spots, they're too dark. Sorry, that's my washer. 7th time I've tried to drain my clothes. Before, after. See that inner corner pinching up for some reason of the eyes? Just need to let them sit. The outer corners can drag down. That some eyes do that. So to correct some of these areas here, you don't really have a coarse shadow for the nose. So this area is too bright, whereas before it was too dark. This is too bright. And this here is actually too dark for the lip corners. The lips don't seem to do much right now. We need more edges, more of a representation of what's going on with the lips stacking on each other. Also, you need to merge the lips with the surrounding landscape a little bit more with a wider radial shading radius. Or diameter, actually, it's much better, more accurate. inner corners need to be blended a little bit more for the eyebrows, or the inner part of the eyebrows, because they just seem a little bit forced. And the detail there is just way too strong. Way too much light under the eyebrows, considering how much strength these eyebrows have. That whole area should be hidden under some shadow if they're casting some shadows off the lashes so low on the white of the eye, and they're casting light down. The lower eyelid, you guys forget that this is half of the sphere in shadow, so it needs a lot of shadow to prove that it's actually there. Face is a bit too perfect. You're not really sinking in down here. Again, just a little bit of shadows under the eye. That mustache again. Really great ways to fill in empty space. The nostrils look okay, but they're kind of just a little bit too sharp. And there's no shadow under the nostrils. Little curve of the nostrils. There's no shadow down here. They're kind of just existing. There's no shadow under the septum. Where are your comments? Sorry, I don't have them open. Okay, a little bit of a crease down here for the lower eyelids. So the eyebrows, they're just bothering me. Way too detailed, considering where the rest of the eyes, or the rest of the face is. That's why they're too detailed. And then, of course, the reason why she looked masculine was because you weren't blending the edges enough. Female, like brow bones or temples or forehead, all tend to be a little bit more spherical and domed, not that much edge work, not that jagged. And then there's the cheekbone, which I'm going to try to enforce here. And then again with that, like that waterline being so illuminated, it's dipping in with the eye away from the light, and it's under the shadow of the lashes, which you guys still over outline. At any opportunity you guys get for a line, you guys jump at that. I'm just blending this area out. It's a bit too symbolic, and bringing in just a bit of bounce light, or extension of some kind of light here on the inside. Blending away at the nose. The nose is looking a little bit narrow and symbolic. Remember, the nose is an altitude, it's catching light. Sides of the nose get shadow along with the nostrils, because the nostrils cannot have the same kind of illumination as the tip of the nose unless they're as high as it. And then the inner septum, like the septum of the nose, is just too thick. Feels like we're seeing the nose in perspective. See that? Everything was so far apart. She's very beautiful because her eyes are far apart, but I feel like one is a bit further than the other. Are you fucking kidding me? Keyboard shortcuts, image. I don't know why it keeps resetting my shortcuts. Why is this happening? Okay. And there's the face being generally just asymmetrical. Take care of that. Tucking in the corners here. And then the inner corners. This is a very glamorous, beautiful face. The inner corners here need to be a bit more illuminated. This being such a perfect face compared to the organic beauty we saw earlier, I would always go for organic beauty. So once you do get a good idea of what makes a face perfect, So you can use it whenever you need, you know, for future employment or whatever. Try to advance into a more organic face. Something that looks more familiar, more human. And this looks familiar and human, but it's a bit too generalized, the beauty. I've also thickened the nostrils. I mean the bridge of the nose. And I feel like her face is still a bit square. I'm going to try to do it this way. It's a bit narrow now. Just tucking in the neck, a bit after the jawline. To draw a face, to know how to draw a face, is to know how to draw everything else, because everything that can happen happens on a face, especially when you move into color and get into referencing. So doing a 14-day challenge prepares you for all kinds of form situations in the future. Now that the skin is nice and leveled, we can bring in those little moments of shine on the nose, on the mouth, on the lower eyes, on the cheekbones if you want to throw in that little bit of shimmer. Okay, so we'll look at the before and after. She's a little bit too model-esque for me, like supermodel for me. The lips look a little bit unnatural, kind of like plasticky, but it's a very beautiful face nonetheless. So before, after. Okay, see the difference in the skin tone against the background? You guys need to separate your background color from your object. What is your starting midtone for the object? That's the value that you use. Face might not be perfectly shaped. One side might be a bit more than the other. But okay, so your bright spots were brighter than the background color, but what was explaining where all the brightness was coming from if it wasn't accessing the background? Okay, so try to focus a little bit more on the general form, the light environment for the rest of your day 15 if you want to do one, or if you want to revise your day 14. And I encourage you also, once you're done with your corrections, to try some expressions. So you guys are already, be aware of the expressions you are already employing. You're squinting the eyes, and the one before was also squinting the eyes. So sometimes that might mess you up later for when you're trying to explore really intense emotion and expression where the eyes are all wide, or the eye may be looking down, or whatever might be needed. Don't make your expression a default, right? No default expressions. Make sure you have a good awareness of what you're drawing. So class is really short today. I'm so sorry. I really have to get going. But please, guys, don't forget about the community challenges. You guys have a month and some weeks to work on them. I really want to see more submissions. If I'm getting like 5 submissions and I give you guys 2 months to complete it, that's not going to make me very happy. I want to see some submissions. So to join the community challenges, go to istebrak.com and click on the Google Plus icon to join. If you want to learn more about the 14-day challenge, go to the community tab and scroll down. There's a Q&A, an FAQ on the community challenge, on 14-day challenges. So join here, read through the brief and look through some of the references or inspirational references I have for the character environment integration challenge. The pole vaulting is the theme, as well as the creepy creature challenge, due on October 30th, Tuesday of October. And make sure that you guys are posting your concept art. So your concepts, your blueprinting, your mood boards, your thumbnails, your silhouettes, all the studies that you might need to help you encapsulate the concept before you attempt a render. And then the Portrait Studio sale starts on the 1st of October. Abu will be updating you guys on with the tutorial, with a video very soon. The tutorial video is going to cover all the major functions of Portrait Studio if you own it and don't know how to use it. If you have used it, if you've bought it and you like it, send us a quick little review of what you think of it. Go to the istebrak.com right here. Go to my website and go to the store or anywhere really, and just scroll down. And if you have anything to say, you can post it here. Make sure you spell out your name. If you have Portrait Studio and it doesn't work or you lost your download, you can email us. If you have a proof of purchase, you have up to 5 downloads for available to you. So it's not, as people have been saying, this rumor that you can't download it again once you lose it. That's not true. It's just we're small enough that we can send out the downloads without having a licensing system. Thank you to everyone who's bought it, for everyone who's supported. If you like it, spread the word. It's a very, very powerful tool, and I hope the videos that we've been posting have been proving that. And for those who find it difficult to buy it at its current price, there's save 10 to save 10%, or you can wait till October 1st and get it at almost 50. Thank you everyone for joining. I will see you guys on Thursday the 20th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye guys.